Hi guys, and welcome to another Random Platypus review. I'm trying to get the camera as straight as possible, but it's not exactly happening, but here you go. Today I'm going to review some of the Bones 3 figures that I got through. So I'm just going to get the box. I shall plonk them down in front of, hopefully more in shot than that. Right, so I have to thank Wait What for this. He allowed me to go in on his pledge, so I didn't have to get all of the figures and just the ones that I actually wanted to get. There's two sets in here. One is the beasties, lycanthrope beasties, which I shall, there's no point standing up like that. The top, these ones here, and then I also got the ogres, and also my friend sent me a transparent bone figure as well, just to have a look at that. He said he's finding it difficult to paint. This one looks like it's a fairy. I'm not sure how well you're going to see this with the light. That's the only problem with the transparent. I'm not really going to go over that one at this point because it was a sort of freebie, not one that I really ordered. And like I say, it's going to be really difficult for me to try and show you what it actually looks like because of the lighting. So yeah, I mean, you'll see it's a fairy-like figure, but it's going to be insanely difficult for me to do in that sense, all put together for the looks of it. It's got like several different feathery bits, and I'm not entirely sure where they all go, if I'm honest. In fact, I'm not even entirely sure they all go on this miniature. But there you go. Although I guess actually it might just be that there's a choice of wings. There's a choice of wings. There's 3 different sets of wings. One looks a bit like that. Another one looks a bit like that, sort of tiny. And another set of wings that look a bit more sort of like that. So I'll have to decide which ones they go on there. But that's the little fairy thing freebie out of the way that I got. And I shall just quickly go through the other bits and bobs. So I have been building or slow building, I mean, I say collecting bits and bobs over the years. Some of you may or may not know I'm located in Norfolk, and for a while people sort of call me Swampy as a bit of a nickname on the forums, because obviously the idea is that Norfolk is meant to be swampy. Interestingly, that's mainly lower lands and not even Norfolk, but there you go. So I have been building a swamp themed army, and I have a croc to go with him, so he'll be done. He's really nicely detailed. I'm hoping that there you go, you see some of that nice textures on him. It comes pre-built. You can see there's a joint there, and on his tail there, and on the top half of his head, when this wants to focus in on this. No, why are you focusing on that? Christ, we'll get there eventually. Ah, there you go. So you can see there are joints. That would be the only thing that's a bit negative, I'd say, about this. Otherwise, it's really nice. Now, I've got some of the older Bones miniatures, and they are flexible. Now, as you can see, this one is, but nowhere near as flexible as the older ones are, I would say, especially the tail. I can bend it, but it's not so. You can see the blood coming out of my finger as I'm pushing that. It's not an easy thing to do. So that's the croc guy. He's quite big. Let me see if I can find a... let's go for a Evil Empire model. So you can see he's quite... I line the bases up quite similar. He's quite a big sort of character. I would say kind of almost like an ogre kind of size. Although that brings me quite handily onto the actual ogres, I suppose you could use these as trolls as well. I suspect it'd be possible to snip off the heads and put more like troll-like heads on them if you wanted sort of intelligent-looking trolls. I'm going to stick that over there. I know at this point I jump between packs, but you know, it kind of happened to be a good point. So again, these ones don't come pre-built. Just move these slightly out of the way. They come with different parts. So he's got. And again, I apologise, they are white, so it means that when the light is on them, it's not so good. I've tried to... There you go. Better. Nice expression on his face. I think these are sculpted... Well, I don't know who they're sculpted by, but they are lush. I really like them. As soon as I saw them, I thought, no, these are proper ogres. Proper ogres. I might get more and convert them. I have a feeling... they're probably not too dissimilar size to the Games Workshop ones. So for example, you could chop and change the weapons, maybe put GW heads on them. Might be something I could do actually, hadn't thought about that. Otherwise, really nice and characterful when he's not dropping his arm all over the place. There's some small shields. I mean, again, because of the size of this, if I can get this up on there, yeah, you can see it. Because of the size of the shield here, you can probably get away with using it in 15mm as well, as a giant. So, you know, they'll be relatively cheap. I don't know how much they'll be RRP yet, although they are pretty much out on the shelves now because the Kickstarter has been delivered. So again, this is another one. This time, he's all in one piece, so there's no separate pieces to put together on him. I kind of hope that they extend the line of these types of ogres, because 3 is nice, but if I wanted to put a few more together to sort of have a small tribe with them. And again, this one you can see is a little bit easier because it's a weapon, it's a little bit thinner, but it's always returning. Look, you see that very slowly. Nothing's particularly bent on him, but if you try and move the arm, it does a bit, but it's much stiffer than they were when, say, the first Bones stuff came out. But again, brilliant. Obviously this one, I'll hold him a bit higher up because then you'll see him a bit better. He comes with a club. Now, as you can see, if I snip that in, so this one's going to take a little bit of gluing and holding to get him to work well. But again, really nice. I'm not really seeing much in the way of mould lines. There are a couple around. They're going to be hard to see on here, but there's one there. I suppose the only thing that I don't overly like is the colour, because it's kind of like, it's not actually white, it's kind of like an off-white, but in the light I've got here it makes it look very white, and it isn't that far off it. It's just annoying when it comes to looking at the detail. So I think the first thing I'll do is give it a black wash at the very least before I start painting it, because of course Bones you can just paint straight on, so they say. I still believe in undercoats. Now in terms of size, I'll just use the one that hasn't got bits that will fall off. As you can see, they are quite big. Again, I'll do scale shots, and there'll be scale shots at the end. So these guys are probably bigger than the croc, but really nice size wise. I should be using those in some of my fantasy games, no doubt. It's either hired swords or just nasties to go with my goblins. And then of course back to the lycanthrope sort of things. This is like it's a bat. So those of you that have got, I don't know, vampires and you want to have one in bat form, this could work. Otherwise, it's a suitably creepy sort of Batman, not Batman, if that makes sense. Not the DC Batman, but like a kind of fantasy, lurking in the caves, kind of had a curse put on me Batman. Some people will note that it's got hands on the top of its wings there. Now, the odd thing about that is, and I learned this recently, I've become part of Kate Sid's anti-bat misrepresentation camp. The bits that people might call like the the wing dividers, they're actually called fingers, and on a bat they actually form part of its hand. So when you see this hand up here, it's got 5 fingers. These are kind of meant to be part of it as well. But I guess as it's a man in bat form, maybe it's just a bit weird. But at least it hasn't got one coming off the elbow, because they normally, some of the wings have a finger coming off the elbow, and of course everybody knows you don't have fingers on elbows. Anyway, that's that, and a bit of a rant over. This is the one that I really got the pack for, obviously the croc as well, but this, now, there's a reason for this. Those of you of a certain age will remember a program called, I think it was called Gentle Ben, which was a bit like Lassie but with a bear, and it used to sit on the front of one of those Florida, what they call it, is it Everglades or whatever, they fly around, those fan boats. So I saw this and I thought, well, I kind of want to have it because it's a bear, but also I came up with this really kind of nice little tribute. This here is a hassle-free figure. In my fantasy games, he is going to be known as, yeah, it's going to start focusing in, yeah, you go. He's going to be known as Nomis. Now, there is one of our forum members, and Nomis the Barbarian is named after him, Nomis being his first name backwards. Nomis has a sort of fear of bears. Now, this normally would be okay, apart from Nomis. When Nomis gets angry, instead of turning big and green and splitting his, purple shorts, he turns big and brown and furry. So whilst having a fear of bears and a sort of deep-seated hatred, he actually turns into one when he gets angry. So that's the reason why I got this. So yeah, you should look out in the future for some really mental kind of bear incidents in my fantasy games. But yeah, so that's the Bones figures. Like I say, I will take photos of these in a lineup with, probably I'll throw in your Games Workshop, although again, standard human size for Games Workshop now is a bit debatable whether he is, but I'll use him. I've got a couple of hassle-free figures, or a hassle-free figure, and I've got a Privateer Press human. So I'll throw those all in the lineup and I'll stick it on the end like I have with the others and label them just so you know what's going on. Anyway, let me know what you think. If you've got Bones, you bought into the Bones Kickstarter, let me know. If you're buying into the Bones 4 Kickstarter, which is still going on at the moment, I believe, then yeah, join in there too. But people sort of have mixed feelings about Bones. I don't. I think they're great. For the obvious reasons. They're inexpensive, you can drop them and they bounce like that one, but they keep the paint and it makes them really, really affordable. And these figures are so nice as well. They're not horrible. Sometimes you think cheap, horrible, lack of detail, lack of, you wouldn't want them as a painter, so to speak. But actually, I think these are fine. Maybe they're not going to beat some of the high quality resin stuff that's out there in terms of top notch sculpting and casting. But for for the value, I think these are perfect. And if you've got kids or you work with young people that need cheap figures. That they can paint, and I believe they can be stripped as well with something like bio strip or whatever it's called. These are perfect. I mean, for a couple of quid, I think some of them are like £3-4 quid each. You're not going to get much else out there that are that cheap and that are that robust. And obviously there's all the orcs and goblins and things which are far cheaper. I think it's like £5 or £6 for a good handful of them. So for youngsters getting into this stuff again now, I think these are great, especially if you're not looking to take them down the Games Workshop route. And that's my view on these. I mean, yeah, you'll get people go, but they're made out of a really, PVC or whatever, and they're a bit flexible. And so what? They do the job. That's the main thing. You can put them on the table. You roll dice. The Croc Man will eat people up. The Ogres will bash people. And what else do you want? There's some far worse metal figures out there that cost more money. That's my view. Anyway, let me know what you think. Put your comments below the video, or come visit us on the forum and join in the chat there. Cheers guys, catch you on the next one. Bye bye now.